I've never done anything like this before. For work, I support a guy who has been diagnosed with catatonic schizophrenia. In the mornings, I turn up, I help him out of bed, I help him get ready to go to the shower, and suddenly things get quite difficult at times, not always. But when he was younger, he was the recipient of electrical shock treatment, and I suspect water was used as a way to attempt to cure his diagnosis. Because when it's time to get in the shower into this confined cube, he gets quite fretful, and he'll ask sometimes, "Oh, is it torture time?" Or he'll ask, "Oh, is this going to hurt?" And I'm in the privileged position to be able to say to him, "I promise that I will do everything in my power to make sure this will not hurt. I'm going to look after you and I'm going to take care of you." But that negotiation can take up to an hour sometimes, where he just does not want to shower. But if it's been a few days, as a duty of care, he needs to shower. So he ends up teaching me patience. And I mean that. He trains me and he teaches me patience as a result of his diagnosis. There are times when he's just not present and he's absent-minded and he's not there, and I sit with him and I be with him in that absent-mindedness, and he's teaching me how to have compassion where I otherwise would not be able to learn. So in some ways I see him as a carrier of knowledge, the sort of knowledge that is beyond our cognitive capacity and is deeply human. Anyway, he's probably going to have the right to kill himself soon, at least if it's not this edition of the bill that we're voting on. It will be in the future as it becomes edited. That is a huge loss to the world. There's another guy that lives in the house, and he's got multiple diagnoses. He is hearing impaired, and he's been diagnosed with cerebral palsy, and intellectually he's quite slow. But he loves to play this game where you hold your hand out to each other like this, and he holds his out, and you just look at each other into each other's eyes and you start smiling. And you see who's going to go first, and eventually he will turn his hand over like that, and then you turn your hand over too, and the game's complete. Quite simple, but the joy. Sometimes he'll get so excited about it, he has to go quickly sit down and lie down because he's going to throw his arms backwards and just laugh because of the connection. And in some ways I deeply envy him, because I think to myself, don't we all want that? Don't we all long for appreciating the simplicity in life? But instead what we have to do is attach ourselves to so much hedonistic activity to try and get the same sense of happiness. So again, he carries this knowledge that I need to learn from him. He teaches me to remember that the simplest things in life are wonderful, and I learn to be grateful for what little I have. Anyway, he might have the legal right to kill himself soon because we find him too uncomfortable. Apparently, his condition is suffering. And the value that the people I support offer, it isn't just what they're doing. It's simply as who they are as people existing. There is no one else in the world like you. You are your own unique self, and when you are gone, you will be missing in this place. That is a loss to the world. Which means I think that death is not the answer. Death is a problem. And it is not something to be for. There is a petition you can check out online. It's doctorssayno.nz. Doctors from all over the country have signed on to it, saying they do not believe that the New Zealand healthcare system should be responsible for killing people. It's the healthcare system's job to keep people alive, to value life, and not to have people die. Law exists to protect the country's most vulnerable people. We have laws so that those who are strong and powerful do not take advantage of those who are weak and in need. This law, however, will be achieving the complete opposite. People who are in their deepest time of need and are in the most vulnerable are being put in a position where they have to start deciding if they should exist anymore. We know that families aren't perfect. I think we all know that. And there is extreme risk that people might suddenly want to end their life because they think it's going to be better for everyone else. And we know that that is not the case. Instead, we need to learn to get better at loving people who are difficult. And I think in some ways, this bill is a symptom. It's a symptom of a deeper issue that we've forgotten how to love well. So there's the immense suffering issue. Like, what if someone is in the most unbearable pain and we know that they're not going to be lasting for much longer? Why can we not just put them down as we would a dog? Here's the thing. Someone's well-being is not improved when you kill them. It's completely lost. One way to make sense of good health is to say that it is the alleviation of suffering. I think that is helpful, but I think there is a greater way to make sense of what good health is. I think that we should make sense of good health as being the presence of someone in our life. For instance, people who are a part of Addiction Anonymous groups know this. They know that the best way to cure their addiction is not some alleviation of suffering, but it's actually acknowledging that they need the presence of others in their life. And it's that improves their well-being. There's language for this in other cultures that we might have lost in English. Mauri ora is someone's life force, their well-being. Shalom is a space of peace, tranquility, goodness. You have no Mauri ora, you have no shalom when you're dead, when you've been killed. When you are alive, you still have life to treasure, and that life to treasure is of more value regardless of the immense suffering we need to learn to make sense of. Because everybody suffers, and that again is something we're trying to avoid. We're trying to avoid the notion that there is pain in the world and we need a way through it. And the way through it is to not just take ourselves out. You are worth so much more than just your economic value. You're worth so much more than just what you can contribute. And if we have a bigger picture of what love actually looks like, we're going to be able to understand that better. So I'm afraid for our country that this is developing our nation into a character that has lost our way. We've lost a bigger imagination of how valuable life is, how important it is that you exist. And this is a symptom of that. New Zealanders, we all have a terminal illness. From birth, we're all going to die. Death is on its way. And to try and designate to some people, well, they're going to die, so we might as well let them kill themselves, is really illogical, because actually we're all going to die. And we're all in some sort of pain. And we all need to find a way through that and learn to value life regardless of the pain we have to face.